global warming is here. And we need to be proactive on how we're going to manage our forests. It's going to change.
Typically 25,000 acres is a big fire for us. Between the two, we have 250,000 acres burned on the reservation, 380,000 total between the Tunk Block and North Star fire. And I'd like to say this is a once every 100-year event that rivals what happened in 1910, but I don't know if that's going to be the case with climate change.
If you have 92 fires, you don't have enough resources with 92 fires and 60-mile-an-hour winds. That's where nature, you're definitely owned by the fire or the forest then. And it's getting to that point where I think people just have to acknowledge that the forest owns us.
How many miles of fire line?
Between the two, the last number I heard was over 370 miles of perimeter between North Star and Tunk. I think the comparable was if you started at Spokane, we'd have to dig hand line or dozer line to roughly south of Portland. That's a lot of line to dig. And not many folks to do it, and in very broken and rough terrain. So again, when you lack those resources, you lack the ability to attack these fires in initial attack status and keep them small and put them out before they turn into huge events.
I hope that we're prepared because we're seeing stronger storms, we're seeing, more intense wildfires.
And we have to be ready to adjust to those challenges. We can't just continue to go on the way we are, because that's not managing the land.
Forest management is very important to our tribe, and it has been for a long time, and so we realize the value of that, but we also need to, still ensure that our borders and the forest around it, which is also our traditional territory, aren't lost to insects and disease or wildfire.
It's pretty concerning looking at what the future might hold for me for the next 25 years of my career, and for the guys that follow me. It's going to be a very, very difficult road.
We see every year the fires get bigger and bigger and more destructive and more damaging across the land. I'm worried. You see, you spend your summer where you can't see it less than a quarter mile from you because of the smoke in the valley, and that shouldn't be the norm.
No one wants to see the biggest fire in the history of the state of Washington in north central Washington. And especially when last year was the biggest fire in the state of Washington at the Carlton complex. And now we're topping that this year. And this is not a good trend, and we definitely need to address these issues.
And so what role do we take in that? Do we stand and write letters and complain about you're not doing anything? Or do you take an active role? This is innovative science that we are dealing with.
Well-managed stands tend to reduce the risk. They take out those high-risk dead and dying trees. They space around it. They leave more fire-resilient trees.
One, because it gives us some protection. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of a buffer effect is if you have very high intensity fire coming across the line from the Forest Service or state or whoever happens to be our neighbor, regardless of how well your stand is managed on that side of the line, you're going to have some impacts just because it's built up so much heat. But yes, I would think this would be something that would be pretty agreeable to the public too. This is the type of treatment you could do and publicly wouldn't be criticized. There's still a lot of timber here. I think people tend to see green and think that's a good thing. Too much green is obviously not a good thing from a forester standpoint, but I think the public is open to some level of harvest, especially if you do some type of field treatment to follow up like this.
Put it out there for the public to say, hey, look, are you tired of this? Do you want to get going? Let's get going.